Greetings, rock fans, and welcome back to another edition of Paisano's Music and Vinyl Talk. I am your host, as always, Paisano. Tonight, we're going to talk about Led Zeppelin yet again. I'm not going to tell you exactly how I decide on what album to talk about, but it's pretty random, and I do have a lot of Led Zeppelin albums between the studio ones and the bootlegs. So it's, no surprise that another one's going to come up. And we're going to talk about their 1976 release, Presence. Now, this was the follow-up to the monster known as Physical Graffiti in 1975. And it was going to be tough to match that. Little did this band know that the end was a few short years away, sadly. But by this time, these guys really had nothing left to prove. They were the biggest rock band in the world still. This album was made it to #1 in the United States and Great Britain as well. And produced a couple of Stone Cold Zeppelin classics. No doubt. It's kind of a somber, album. It kind of has a somber feel to it, and it is definitely all Jimmy Page. There's no real keyboards on it of any kind. Really no sign of John Paul Jones like on previous albums. It's a rather short album. It's got a couple of real long cuts on it. The first track and the last track are over 10 minutes long, I believe. And the album cover, I never really figured out what this black object is that is so prevalent in a lot of these pictures. There's a lot of, classic 50s style pictures, here, and they all feature that black object. I'm not really sure what it is. I never really looked into it. Maybe that's something I'll do. The back as well has got a fixation with the black object. And like I said, there was only one studio album left after this, and that was In Through the Outdoor, that came out in 1979. And then tragically, the next year, just after a very successful European tour, John Bonham died after ingesting a very large amount of alcohol. A huge loss for the music world, and it broke up Led Zeppelin. Let's go over the track listing on this one. It's not listed on the album, but it starts off with an absolute Stone Cold Zeppelin classic, Achilles' Last Stand. Next up is For Your Life. Side 1 finishes up with Royal Orleans. Side 2, the other Stone Cold classic from this album, Nobody's Fault But Mine. Candy Store Rock, Hearts On For No One, and the Slow Blues, T for One. This was released on Swan Song, Zeppelin's own label, the classic label right there. And this is one I picked up in the mid-'80s, probably at Quincy Records in Quincy, Massachusetts. Definitely a huge pickup for a young paisano. Just added to the Zeppelin catalog. Always good to get the vinyl, in my opinion. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. What will Paisano dig out of the crates next week? Tune in, find out. Good night, YouTube.